In the world of Naruto, ninjutsu is an essential staple of just about every shinobi's arsenal, but ninjutsu that can utilize a change in chakra nature on a different level of destructive power. And since fire release is the dominant chakra nature found in the Land of Fire, which is where our lovable main character Naruto is from, I wanted to take a look at what I deem to be the top 10 strongest fire release jutsu that we saw in Naruto, though it's worth noting, while all these jutsu are indeed powerful in their own right, like a lot of jutsu in the series, the destructive power can be correlated to the person that's using them. Think of it like a video game character who has a ton of experience points. They're at such a higher level that even their basic attack at level 99 is going to be matching the highest attack of someone at level 30. So for that reason, power alone won't be the only thing that we use to rank these jutsu by. Finally, this list will not have any jutsu from Boruto because I wanted to keep this strictly centered around the Naruto manga, and given how much Boruto content we do here on the channel, to a point where Boruto content is starting to approach 40% of the overall channel content, I think that's a fair compromise. But if Kashin Koji's True Essence Flames were on this list, they easily be at number 2. So jumping right into number 10, we're going to be starting things off with the fire release jutsu that was created by the Uchiha clan, which is the Great Fireball Jutsu. This jutsu is the jutsu that the Uchiha clan consider to be a rite of passage for members of the clan, with them not truly being acknowledged as being adult members of the Uchiha clan until they can perform an adequate Great Fireball Jutsu. This jutsu, for all intents and purposes, due to how the Naruto manga presented it to us and the lineage behind it, it should be considered a hidden jutsu, which is a jutsu passed down from one member of the clan to another, but does not require Kekkei Genkai to use. Think of it like the Shadow Possession Jutsu, for instance. However, due to the changes made in the video game and filler scenes from both of the Naruto anime, we've seen characters who aren't Uchiha clan members use this jutsu, which is contradicting the manga where only Uchiha have ever used this jutsu, keeping in line with Fugaku's depiction of it being a hidden jutsu belonging to the Uchiha clan. In order to perform this jutsu, the user has to summon a large amount of chakra into what Fugaku refers to in Naruto Volume 25 as being in the area between the mouth and the chest, and after reaching a boiling point, they expel the chakra out of their mouths via a stream of fire that makes a giant orb of fire release that can not only change the surface of the water, but it can also leave behind craters on solid ground in the process. Given the meaning behind the Uchiha clan's name being Uchiwa and how that plays into the fan that is on their crest, it's fitting to start this list off with something like this. However, it's not the only fire release jutsu of the Uchiha clan that will be on this list, and the ones we have left to cover are pretty broken. At number 9, we have the fire release Dragon Flame Bomb Jutsu. Like the previous jutsu, due to the video games and filler scenes in the anime, this jutsu has lost some of its exclusivity that we saw when it was introduced. Whereas you've seen multiple characters like Kakashi and Jiraiya perform this jutsu in other mediums, the manga has only ever shown one person performing this specific jutsu, which is Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. This is not to be confused with other fire release jutsu that take on the shape of a dragon, but instead this is a different jutsu altogether, and based off what we've seen in the manga, like the Uchiha clan's Great Fireball Jutsu, it can be implied that this is a jutsu passed down to members of the Sarutobi clan. In order to perform this jutsu, the user shoots out an enormous amount of fire release chakra that is then combined with a change in chakra shape to turn them into dragons, and these dragons, or dragon depending on how many are made, can rocket towards the enemy with all the power focused in one attack to strike them like a bullet, which according to the second Naruto databook, when used to its maximum, can reduce whoever is hit by it to ashes upon being hit. The flames also wrap around the target and form a vortex of fire, but in order to do so, it takes an enormous amount of skill, requiring high-level chakra control and understanding of chakra in order to manipulate the flames in this manner, which, for a bit of reference and for perspective, the only other person we see in the manga control the flames to this magnitude is Sasuke Uchiha, and that's because his second Mangekyo Sharingan power is the literal manipulation of flames, which makes this jutsu even more impressive. At number 8, we have the fire release Dragon Flame Cauter Wall Jutsu, which is a jutsu created by the ghost of the Uchiha clan himself, Madara Uchiha. In the entirety of Naruto's 72 volumes, Madara is the only shinobi to have ever performed this jutsu, and for a really good reason. The jutsu is just really strong. This jutsu takes a high amount of chakra and it creates a dragon-shaped head of a fireball being shot out, which in the initial version of the jutsu, we see the flame being able to be controlled, but this version of the jutsu takes it to a different level. Instead of shooting off just one fireball like we saw Sasuke Sasuke do in the Itachi fight, where he shoots off the parent jutsu for this jutsu, Madara's advancement of the jutsu sees him shoot off several of these dragons and flank his enemy from all sides in order to entrap the enemy and make it near impossible to avoid. This jutsu gets at the number 8 spot because it's a sign of high level chakra control needed, not just to produce one attack with enormous amounts of chakra being used, but to be able to shoot off 4 attacks and control each of them simultaneously to position them in a way to where your enemy has little chance of escaping. It's both a highly skilled jutsu as well as a jutsu that fits into the theme of battles for Naruto, which is the hidden move hidden behind the hidden move. Whoever sees this attack in battle is expecting a head-on attack and not to be flanked at all sides. And if used with the right amount of chakra, this jutsu can turn the tide in battle by dishing out enormous amounts of damage to the enemy, because it leaves the enemy very few options to avoid if they can't just outright speed blitz the attack. And given that this is being fired off by someone like Madara, that's a very short list of people who can actually do that. At number 7, we have the Fire Release Searing Migraine Jutsu. The only reason I'm putting this above the last couple of jutsus is due to the fact that when we first saw it being used in the manga, it was being combined with Wind Release, which we know can take a deadly Fire Release Jutsu and make it even more lethal than it already would be. Wind Release is added to a high level B rank jutsu like this, definitely takes it up to a bare minimum to another tier. This jutsu is performed by making a Fire Release fireball that quickly covers a large section of the battlefield, and when it's combined with Wind Release, we saw a miniature tornado of fire being ripping through the area that required Kakashi to use a Water Release jutsu that had enormous amounts of water release summoned in order to block out the attack itself. Given that we saw this jutsu produce damage of this level in the hands of someone like Kakuzu, you'd have to wonder what it could do if it was in the hands of someone like Madara, Obito, or Sasuke, people who are clearly that much stronger than Kakuzu. You have to wonder what they could do if they use this jutsu. If Kakuzu could cover a huge chunk of the battlefield in flames, there's no doubt these 3 shinobi could mess around and destroy a whole city block and reduce it to ashes with their chakra levels, all while holding back considerably. At number 6 and just outside the top 5, we're going to be going with the Toad Oil Flame Bomb Jutsu. This jutsu is a combination ninjutsu by Jiraiya and Gamabunta, but is pretty deadly when we consider the context of what happened when this jutsu is being used in the manga. In the manga, when Jiraiya used this jutsu, he was drugged by Tsunade and couldn't use his chakra properly, not being able to use his full power in the battle that fans call the 3-way deadlock battle of Jiraiya and Tsunade versus Orochimaru in Naruto Volume 19. Despite this, we see Jiraiya on top of Gamabunta, the largest of the Toad summons we see in the manga, and Jiraiya times his fire release alongside Gamabunta's Toad Oil, which, due to the large mass of Gamabunta's body, the amount of oil is enormous when combined with the fire release, and it results in a massive fire release attack due to the highly combustible nature of Toad Oil. This is easily one of Jiraiya's strongest fire release jutsu, and like the Searing Migraine Jutsu, due to the sheer amount of damage and how widespread this attack is, we saw Jiraiya do without having full access to his chakra. It's a jutsu in the hands of someone even stronger, has a ton more potential. At number 5, we're going to be going with Jiraiya's strongest fire release jutsu, which, just like the last one, is a combination ninjutsu, which sees Jiraiya in his Sage mode and having Manpa Toad on his shoulders, helping him outperform this jutsu. This jutsu is a Sage Art fire release Bath of the Boiling Oil jutsu. Due to it being powered by Sage mode, we already know this jutsu is pretty overpowered, but even more so when you consider everything that goes into this attack, because it has 3 people adding highly combustible elements to the jutsu to make it even stronger. One uses the Toad Oil, the other uses Senjutsu Enhanced Fire Release, and the other uses Senjutsu Enhanced Wind Release. The Wind Release carries the oil into the fire release, which makes it heat up to a point where it has the potential to kill whoever is hit by it. The jutsu also has a wide damage range due to the liquid that is used via the Toad Oil, which can cover the entire area on fire at some point if they choose to, going full scorched earth and burning down the entire battlefield in only a few moments. The combination of Senjutsu Enhanced Wind Release, Fire Release with Toad Oil is enough to put this jutsu in the top 5 in my opinion. At number 4, we have the Majestic Demolisher Flame Jutsu, which is another jutsu created by Madoru Uchiha. This jutsu is pretty nasty, and considering it's a jutsu created by Madoru Uchiha, one of the biggest legends in the series, you rightfully expect nothing less from Madara. This jutsu is the one we see Madara perform when he's already inside his Susanoo, but essentially it sees him release a massive amount of fire release that quickly consumes everything in the area. And when we see this jutsu being used in the manga, Madara uses it after already seeing the battlefield being covered in wood release, and the intent is to burn up the forest of wood release in order to make the flames heat up even more and take out the Kage he was was fighting in the process. Also considering that in the manga, this is a fire release that requires only one hand seal to perform. It's a jutsu you don't have a ton of time to prepare for, which two things should be worth noting. One, that all the other ninjutsu mentioned before in the manga require multiple hand seals to use, and two, the anime did change this scene to have Madara perform several hand seals, but again, in the manga, Madara only needs to perform one hand seal to perform this jutsu, which is absolutely impressive. At number 3, we have Obito's fire release, which is downright broken as well. Broken enough I got it over Madara's previous jutsu and Jiraiya's Sage Art fire release. Obito's fire release is the Blast Wave Wild Dance jutsu. This jutsu is one that Obito can perform and makes use out of it by using Kamui, and because that, you can already see how broken this jutsu is given the nature of Kamui itself. Obito builds up an enormous amount of fire release before shooting off the attack. However, the chakra used in the attack is manipulated to spin in circles like a vortex to wrap around the enemy, but Obito takes it a step further by using his Kamui to make the chakra rotate in an even faster and wide-scale manner. The sheer scale of the attack was enough that both Kakashi and Guy didn't even bother to try and escape, and it took Naruto using his Nine Tails chakra mode to block the attack. We see Obito use this jutsu again after he and Madara are linked to the Ten Tails. We see the attack being released at a size that in the manga looks as big as a tailed beast in terms of size, which is flat out insane, and given the Shinobi Alliance had Naruto's chakra cloak aiding them, which made them 3 times stronger, that's the only reason this jutsu didn't collect a lot more bodies. At number 2, we have Madara's fire release, the Majestic Flame Destroyer jutsu. This is a jutsu that Madara in the manga uses at the very start of the fight against the Shinobi Alliance. Kabuto tells him he wants to see his true power. Madara jumps down, and without any warning, Madara shoots off this high-level fire release jutsu that spans a large section of the battlefield before he's even punched his first shinobi in the manga. This attack is so large and so powerful, it required all the water release users in the alliance in that particular battlefield to combine their chakra for a water release to try and cancel out Madara's very casual usage of the attack. It's a fitting jutsu for Madara to start off the fight with, given that he is an Uchiha and the Uchiha clan are famous for their fire release as well as their Sharingan, so it makes sense this is the literal first attack Madara uses against the Shinobi Alliance. Due to this jutsu being a large sea of flames, avoiding the attack is nigh impossible, leading to the only option to deal with it is to counter this ninjutsu with one of your own, ideally fire release, or if you're someone like Kage or one of the Car Inners or somebody with a Karma Seal, you can just absorb the jutsu. At number 1, we're going to be going with all the variations of Amaterasu, because if we're being honest, if we merely listed the Amaterasu and all the various variations of the Amaterasu that we have, and in particular the ones that Sasuke can use via his flame control, this list would be an even bigger Uchiha Wankfest than it already is, and I wanted to give some other jutsu some room to shine on this video so it's not just an Uchiha clan video. According to what we were told, Amaterasu burns at the temperature of the sun, though this might obviously be hyperbole or exaggeration. We do know that the flames have to be sealed away to be dealt with, or the flames have to take several days to burn themselves out. Obito was able to get around the Amaterasu when Itachi used the Amaterasu transcription seal for a one-time use of the jutsu where he sealed it into Sasuke's eye, and in Naruto Volume 43 we see Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan form in Sasuke's eye just as the jutsu is being fired off. It's implied that Obito used Kamui at the last minute to get around this jutsu, but that's irrelevant. We've seen that Gaara's Sand and Naruto's Nine Tails Cloak have some level of durability against the Amaterasu. What's interesting about this jutsu is that it can be performed with or without hand seals, because we've seen both uses in the manga where Sasuke and Itachi did it with no hand seals, and we saw Sasuke at one point in time actually use the Tiger Seal when he used his jutsu. Given how few exceptions there are to Amaterasu being able to burn the person alive, I've got it as the strongest fire release jutsu in the series, which again, it includes all variations of it. As previously stated in this video, I didn't want to include anything from Boruto because I wanted to keep this strictly to the 72 volumes of the Naruto manga because of how much Boruto content we have here on the channel. I think that's more than fair. That being said, these are my top 10 fire release jutsu. I'll probably do lightning release next, but be sure to let me know your top 10 fire release jutsu and where you disagree down in the comment section below. Click here to watch these other Naruto videos like this every blaze release jutsu that you see on the screen right now.